I'm Joyce Gulley. I work in teacher education, and this class is called Content Area Reading, and it's a class that I haven't taught for probably 10 years. The class used to be a requirement for all secondary education majors, and then the state of Indiana changed the requirements for licensure, and this course went away, and now it's coming back. So it's been a course that was in existence. It's never been taught online, and nobody's taught it for 10 years. So in a lot of ways, the content was brand new to me. And so the course is divided into, the landing spot is the announcements page, and I do plan to do a weekly video greeting to the students. And then it's arranged into weekly modules, and each module will be released on a Friday, and all the work from that module will be due the following Monday. So 10 days later, so they have 2 weekends to work. So after week 1, then there will be actually 2 modules open at a time. You know, some students may still be finishing module 1 and module 2 will be released, but there's just that little weekend overlap time. And I've taught several classes online before, and I find that the Monday due date works well. I used to use a Sunday night due date, but the IT help desk isn't open on the weekends. So I wanted them to be able to use the IT help desk and other resources on Monday. And I find that most students submit their work Monday evening, even though they can submit it for 10 days. Most of it comes in Monday. And I don't typically teach on Tuesday mornings, so I can use my Tuesday mornings to grade things. And so each week has a to-do list to start out with, and this is a tip that I got from Yuhan and the other designers. And they can print off the to-do list and check it as they get finished. And then the assignments to do, things to submit are all within the module. There are some tutorials. I've included a how-to guide button, and the how-to guide button has how to use some of the technology for the class, how to set up their email, those kinds of things that they might need. I'm neurotic about posting a link correctly. I don't want them to just copy and paste it. I want them to put it in as a hyperlink with the little tools. And so I've tried to make that as user-friendly as possible. These like quizzes and tests, they can access those through here. Those are just course links from the actual quiz that's inside the weekly module. So if they want to, they can just stay in the module and get everything done for that week. But then there's some redundant controls on the outside. So that's basically the structure of the course. But the real thing I want to talk about is this. And probably you've all been to enough workshops that you have played the game 2 Truths and a Lie, where you introduce yourself by telling 3 things about yourself, and 2 of them are truthful and 1 is a lie. So I used that to make up my two truths, and I didn't have a lie to tell about the online course development program, but so I turned it to 2 truths and 1 lifesaver. So instead of a lie, it's a lifesaver. So my first truth, well, actually, I thought this was worth sharing. I do a lot of presentations with my colleague, Jeff Thomas, and Jeff is a science educator. And he told me the story about this ant. Actually, it's a story about the fungus. And this is a certain kind of fungus that plants itself in the brain of an ant. And it's a certain kind of an ant. Now, I don't think a fungus is a very smart organism, but here's how smart this fungus is. And this fungus knows to find this ant, and it lets this ant march around until the fungus decides where it wants to plant itself. And then it kills the ant. So then the fungus can plant itself and grow. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? So this has kind of become my motto, bloom where you are planted. And that's kind of with technology that, you know, sometimes I'm the ant and sometimes I'm the fungus. And I've learned to just kind of not take it all too seriously. You know, it's not always pretty. Things don't always work the way I think they're going to work, but to hang in there and, you know, and know that some days you're the ant and some days you're the fungus. Your goal is to be the fungus, though. So I thought that was worth sharing, rather than having to do the online course development program. But this is a picture of where I used to be as a teacher. I've always been fascinated by Web 2.0 tools. And in my face-to-face classes, I teach students how to use all these tools. We use these things these are all free tools. Well, they're not all free now. They all started out as free tools. Sometimes tools start out free and then they start charging. And in my face-to-face classes, I've always had students, I teach a lot of literature classes, and so I have my students do response projects to the literature that we read using these fun tools. When I transitioned to online teaching, I found that this was way too cumbersome because I wasn't there to help students troubleshoot. And they didn't always know what I meant by copy and paste the link. They didn't know, some of them just didn't know that lingo, or they didn't interpret what I was saying correctly. So my first truth is this: VoiceThread is your friend. VoiceThread for me has replaced almost all of those other tools. Just about everything I use digital storytelling a lot, where students choose images and then they write text to tell the story of their learning journey or their response to a novel. And I used to do that with all those fancy tools that you saw on the previous screen, but now I do everything through VoiceThread because the Distance Learning Office and the IT Help Desk can troubleshoot for students. And I know it's supported through Blackboard, and my world is much easier because of that. Then truth number 2 is, I think for years, I've been a teacher for a long time. I mean, probably unlike you, I know for sure, I mean, you didn't start out your life as a teacher, right? You were in the business world doing some kind of business-related work. Well, I was trained as a teacher. So I was an elementary teacher for 10 years, and then I started teaching at the college level. So I am not new to teaching. I mean, look how old I am. I've been teaching a long, long time, decades. But I think in a lot of my teaching life, I was putting activities before learning objectives. Or even at the college level, I think I was putting the textbook before my learning objectives. You know, you have to order a textbook months before you teach the class. You buy the textbook, then you feel like you got to teach the content that's in that textbook. And my teaching was kind of backward. Instead of thinking about what I wanted to teach and what my real objectives were, I was coming with cool activities to do or a whole bunch of content that was presented to me in the textbook. And so this has helped me flip around theoretically, I knew my learning objectives could come first, but that wasn't what my practice was. So this has made me be much more intentional about setting up my objectives first and then figuring out how I'm going to reach those objectives. And I also think the 16-week semester is phony. It's a fake division of time. You know, that we have to either stretch it out to fit 16 weeks or we got to hurry up and cram it all in to get it in 16 weeks. It doesn't always work that way. And then, so 2 truths and 1 lifesaver, right? Here's my lifesaver. I could not do this without all of you. I just add, Laura, that includes you wherever you are.
I think I'm going to cry.
And I just found out when Rhonda Stone presented from the Disability Resources Office and she was talking about for hearing impaired students, and I kind of hearing impaired, and I was only half listening because I thought, oh, that doesn't apply to me. And I just got a notification that I'm going to have a hearing impaired student in my class next semester. And so I'm so thankful that I have Julie and Vicki supporting me behind the scenes. Vicki helped me a whole bunch with my tests, and Yuhan and Laura and Larissa, I couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
My final thought, I guess that sums it up. Comments, questions?
Will you ever teach this in the summer, or will it just be during the school year?
I think the audience, this is a required course now in the reading minor, and I think we're going to start just offering it once a year, and then probably eventually it'll have to be fall and spring, but I doubt it'll ever be in the summer. And it's a varied audience. Some of the students will be early childhood education majors who are getting a reading minor, so they're preparing to teach preschool through grade 3. And some of them will be high school prepared people who have to have reading as a content area. So they have very different needs and interests and backgrounds. You know, if you're the high school math teacher, I have to convince you why you need a class on how to teach reading and writing. And then if you're a preschool teacher, I have to convince you why you need a class on how to teach content area. This is reading and writing and math and science and social studies.